you're kind of like pushing the edges on this modern flair, and like you got some real original creativity and design. Like, I don't know, when I'm scrolling this feed, I don't even have to look at the little profile picture. I just know that it's a premier outdoor job.
So I feel like that is the ultimate compliment. I appreciate that so much.
What is required to achieve that is being comfortable in your own skin, and you know you, and you're not afraid to say no to the jobs that don't follow the model that you want to produce, that you have fun doing. To be able to pull that off, you have to be good, comfortable, okay with saying, no, I'm not going to do that job because it's not my thing.
If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. If we're not super excited about it, if it doesn't fit what we do, if we don't feel like it's a job that's taking our business in the direction that we want to go, then it's a no. It's not easy in the beginning when nobody knows who you are, nobody cares what you're doing, you're just getting started, but it was really important to stick to that because that's how we were able to develop that signature look and reputation in a pretty short amount of time. So.
Alrighty guys, welcome back to another episode of the Cost of Doing Business podcast. We are live here at the HNA show, and today we have the honor of Sean Collinsgrew and Catherine from Premier Outdoor. We just got done with the Bro Life breakfast.
Yes, we did.
About an hour or two ago. It was a cool gathering of some awesome community, some heavy hitters, some good conversation, and of course, some good bacon. Can always got to have that bacon. Sean, give me a rundown of your background, where people can find you if they're not following you yet. I mean, is there anybody that's not following you?
I hope not. It's funny. We're in such a small industry, so it's almost like everybody knows each other, and especially at a show like this, it's just like cool to be at a place where people follow what we're doing and there's other people interested in outdoor living that are here, which is it's cool and refreshing. So I started the business 8 years ago, was doing landscaping before that, and kind of just followed a passion of creativity and design. So we got out of landscaping and started doing outdoor design builds. So we go in, our typical project is either a blank slate or a total tear down of what's there, and deck, patio, roof, landscaping, lighting, whatever we can put in there, we kind of handle it all, start to finish, and we love it. And
you got kind of this, you're kind of like pushing the edges on this modern flair, and you got some real original creativity and design. I don't know, when I'm scrolling this feed, I don't even have to look at the little profile picture. I just know that it's a premier outdoor job.
That's like the ultimate compliment, because I was just talking to Dan Preston, and we just had him on our podcast.
Okay.
And I said the same thing about him, and I'm like, that is such a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount of materials out there. We're all using basically the same
stuff.
Yeah,
that's right.
To be able to use that in a way that you can see that signature look, and with him, I know right away. When I scroll the feed, I don't have to look at the name. I'm just like, yep,
that's him.
Dan did that.
Yep.
So I feel like that is the ultimate compliment. I appreciate that so much, and I think it's really just, I love doing it. So I'm just designing what I think is cool. That's what drives me to do it. Obviously, we want to make money. We want to be successful. We want to build a big business, but the very core thing is I want to enjoy what I do. I want to build cool stuff. I want to be the best designer that I can be, and I haven't been doing it that long, so I feel like there's still so much to learn, but I think we've been able to develop that signature style.
You absolutely have.
Just following what I like. So I'm just drawing pictures that I think are cool, and we've been really good at not letting it bother us when a customer doesn't like what we do. We just say, okay, this isn't a good fit, and we stick to our style, and it's led to people that really do love it. They gravitate towards it, and we stick to that style, and those clients are like, we love that style. It's the only job we've seen like that. We want Premier Outdoor Living. We don't want anybody else. So
speaking of that, when you develop that style that people just know it's you, it means what is required to achieve that is being comfortable in your own skin, and you, and you're not afraid to say no to the jobs that don't follow the model that you want to produce, that you have fun doing.
Yeah.
Because to be able to pull that off, you have to be good, comfortable, okay with saying, no, I'm not going to do that job because it's not my thing.
Yeah. One of the things that we live by, I try to live my life by this, and definitely run our business by, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. So if we're not super excited about it, if it doesn't fit what we do, if we don't feel like it's a job that's taking our business in the direction that we want to go, then it's a no.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I'm really proud of, especially in the beginning, like being able to stick to that, because it's not easy in the beginning when nobody knows who you are, nobody cares what you're doing, you're just getting started, but it was really important to stick to that because that's how we were able to develop that signature look and reputation in a pretty short amount of time. So
and that takes confidence. Like that's what's hard when you're just starting out. Like you're desperate, you want work, you want to prove yourself, and you're maybe not even sure yourself yet what style you want.
Of course not. No,
So, but then once you kind of identify, like, dude, this is what lights me up. This is what I love to do. This is what I'm proud of. And then sticking to your guns. You get more of what you show. Meaning, like, if you're going to go out there and do drainage jobs when you want to really do these cool outdoor living projects, I mean, if I did a drainage job, I wouldn't show it at all ever. Nobody would know I did it.
That's amazing, because people ask, how do you get jobs like this? You get jobs like this by doing jobs like that. So, like, initially we have to take a hit and be like not as profitable on a job so that we can have those portfolio pictures to get projects that we want to do. So it took us a few years to do that, develop that niche, that special type of project and reputation that we love, and we got really good at that part. And then we kind of got the business to a point where we were getting the types of jobs that we wanted, we were getting the right clients, we were doing all those things. That's when we brought Catherine on, and we had kind of built that foundation. Now it was time to like build the business and take it to the next level. So that's when she came in, and she kind of is trying to take all the things that we've done really well, keep those and improve on those, but there's a lot of things that, we were kind of neglecting in a sense as we were like die hard on this vision stuff. So we've kind of gotten to a point where the vision stuff's working. Now she needs to come in and kind of like clean up some of our processes, make sure that
what a dirty job.
We got to the point of taking those risks and making the sacrifices to get to a certain point. And now it's time to we're profitable, we're doing great and everything, but I was always in the mindset of we have to take this risk, we have to do this project, go the extra mile, not worry about getting paid for these extras that we're doing, because we need those pictures.
Those extras that you're doing are an investment into your future job that you're going to sell in the future.
But at a certain point, you need to...
In a way, it's almost a marketing thing. Like,
it is. It's a marketing expense for us. That's
exactly
how I always looked at it.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you need to be like, okay, the reputation is there. We're going to continue to push the envelope, but we need to also get in a little bit of a different mindset of getting a hold on our processes and fine-tuning that stuff so that we can do even more of what we like.
Yeah. Well, hey, Catherine, talk about your role. Like, what was when Sean brought you on? Like, what did he tell you were supposed to do? Like, what was your
Nothing that she's doing now. Not even close.
You mean you were wrong?
I was like,
I think when Sean at a certain point realized he needed some help with certain things, and I've known Sean since high school, so it was a very casual conversation when he decided to bring on another person, and we just kind of chatted about, he knew he needed to take the business to a next level. He didn't know exactly what that meant. I was like, all right, let's sit down, let's make a job description. Like, what would I do? What would I, and I do none of those things on a day-to-day.
And Sean was like, right, what?
Yeah, it has evolved and it's changed, but luckily Sean has been wonderfully flexible, and I get to do kind of what I see as very valuable to the business, and ultimately our goal is just move things forward. So I do a lot on like the business side. I'll do a lot of filming or editing. So it's a little bit of everything on the business.
So what does your typical day-to-day? What does a week look like for you? What are you focusing on? You said editing and filming.
I don't think a typical week is that's not a thing.
No, there is no typical.
No.
It always changes. We try to put in procedures and all that kind of stuff. So ideally, I'll be editing sometimes, and then I'll be handling all the inquiries. I handle all the business end of that kind of stuff. But there really isn't anything as a typical week.
Okay.
So I just
we're trying to like block schedule certain things. Like Mondays,
that's what we're working on now.
She kind of like goes in her little editing hole, does all the podcast stuff, edits the podcast. Make sure that it's up at 5:30 in the morning, Monday morning, and then the rest of Monday is getting the video edited, making clips for the week, scheduling all of that.
Right.
my new thing is I'm supposed to work on scheduling the premiere posts for the week, get that completely done. So on Monday, by the end of the day Monday, ideally, our social media posts for that week are scheduled and done. Then it's kind of, a little bit of, all right, what are we doing this week? A lot of that stuff that we're trying to like really schedule is around the content and brainstorming, all right, what's this video going to be this weekend? And then she has to try to like wrangle me like, okay, we also have this job coming up. Let's look at the checklist. Sean, have you done this? I need you to do that. And she needs to remind me a lot. So it's that's probably the toughest part of her job is making sure that I do the
corralling you into the where you need to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
So diving into a couple like fun questions, like just talking about business, like what is a tough lesson that you've had to learn in your journey in business?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's for sure, right? Anybody that's in business has that.
Yeah,
right?
I think one thing I like to be really open and transparent about is that you're always going to have problems. You're always going to be learning from stuff. Like you're not going to get to a point where it's just completely
there's always a bleeding
sailing.
edge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's always, if you're trying to grow, if you get comfortable in a spot, like maybe you can just kind of ride it out. But if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where my mind was going.
So it's like we're always finding new problems. One of the biggest things for me, I think, has been giving up a little bit of control. That's probably the hardest thing for me because I built the business by doing a little bit of everything. I mean, I've gotten pretty good at I've hired people that are better than me at each part of it. So we have Anthony who does all the carpentry stuff, kind of runs that. So he's the boss when it comes to building. I have my belt on maybe 40 to 50% of the time, but when I'm out there, he's telling me what to do. I'm not the boss because he's out there every single day. Catherine is the boss of everything like that we need to do, everything going forward. Like we kind of brainstorm on the vision stuff. She puts it into like a tangible plan. Like
sure,
this is what we need to do.
You're gonna have this cool light bulb idea, but then she turns it. Well, what does that look like? What's the first thing we have to do?
Yeah. That's something she says a lot. What is our next step?
Yeah. What's the action?
I love just sitting there, coming up with ideas and just like.
Zing.
Exactly. They're everywhere. And it's like she's like, okay, that's a good one. Yeah. What's next? So that's like, well, I don't know. That's where it's like.
And this whole thing of having these crazy inspirational ideas is like I in one of our recent team meetings at SynkedUP, someone was talking about a study that Microsoft did that I don't even remember. I'm going to butcher this, but it was something along the lines that like 8 out of every 10 good ideas shouldn't even be acted on.
Yeah.
Because it's not the right time. It's not a good idea, but not right for you.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So like it's I think what I'm taking away from what you're talking about is like these ideas, you have to be run through a trial and fire process of like, is it the right time? Is it the right thing for me? Like, because like something that may work really well for you, like the way you're doing your model with social media and how that your lead management and all of that, the way you're doing that is like, it's not like it's incredible, but it's not going to be the right fit for everybody can do that, right?
Not everybody's going to find the need for a mobile command center.
Exactly.
People are like, how's that working out? Like,
although that is pretty cool.
For us, it's great. It's not going to be a fit for every business. We build our business in a very unique way where it works for us, but it's not going to work for everybody.
It is very unique, and that's what's so fascinating. I love to observe it, kind of like well, for one, most small businesses at your size and the revenue you're doing and everything is like you're scrounging and fighting for every lead, or like you're definitely not doing what you did. You just told me out there at the Bro Life breakfast we had this morning. Like, what did you say? You took only 1 week's worth of calls this year. Something. Tell me about that.
So we sold out 2022 back in probably November of last year.
Okay.
And since then we haven't taken any design consultation calls. It says on our website, and I was telling somebody about this yesterday, we kind of look at our website as almost an employee.
Yeah, it's a filter.
So it's a filter for everything. So it has our pricing on there, just to get people in a range. You know? Anybody that thinks it's going to cost $5,000 is going to go to our website and be like, okay, this is not the company for me. Perfect. Saves us so much time there.
Amen.
Then they go to our contact form. Right on the contact form, and there's no phone number on the website. You cannot. If you find my number, I'm not going to answer anyway. My voicemail says, go to the website, fill out a contact form if you're inquiring about a project. They go to that contact form. Since last November, it said, we are completely booked for 2022. If you want to get on a wait list for 2023, fill out the form, and we'll reach back out to you. Did that, got probably about 50 people on that waiting list over the course of like 9 months. And through that process, like once they email us, we'll do a little bit of back and forth, make sure they're in our area, make sure that they're in the right frame of mind, price-wise. We kind of reiterate where our projects typically are at. If they say, yeah, sounds good, keep me on the list, they stay on the list. A month before we open back up our design consult season, we said we would reach out late summer to these people on the wait list. So a month before, we said, we're getting ready to open up our thing. We sent them a really cool flyer with, thanks for waiting. We want to make your dreams a reality. It looked awesome. She designed it, sent it to everybody. And it was another filtering thing. Okay, you've been on the wait list for this long. If you want to still be on the wait list and be reached out to once we open it in a month, reach back out to us. About 25 people reached back out to us that were still interested. Another month went by when we finally opened the books, and she set up a Google Calendar thing where we just blocked out a whole week where I would take calls, 1 hour calls, and we had like probably 20 slots, and we had about 15 out of that 25 schedule a call, and that was the only time she contacted me for the whole year. Now
that just blows me away.
We've taken all those calls, and we have about 10 designs, because the whole time we're also telling them that ultimately you're going to get a design consultation, but to go any further, we're not going to your site, just on the phone. You have to pay $2,500 for a design. So people know that the whole way. And anybody that is continuing to say, yeah, we want to be involved and we want to do a call, they have to pay that $2,500. And so we've got 10 of those people now that have paid the design fee, and first one's due Tuesday. So it's just streamlining that part of our business has freed me up. I almost forget how much time I used to spend doing that stuff, just answering the phone, going to design consults all throughout the year.
Yeah.
But it's like, why?
Yeah.
It's such a good filter. The people that have gone through all of these hoops,
they're going to buy.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. We've made it ridiculously difficult.
You're going to get a deposit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and they know, like, this is the only week, and I'm doing all the calls, and all we're telling people is, I cannot tell you what time next year we will be able to do your project. All we can say is next year sometime. So we're doing all the calls at the same time. Whoever gets the design, likes it, puts down a deposit, they get the first slot, and that's just how it goes.
By the time somebody gets through that process, they are not getting another bid from another contractor. They're jumping through the 8th hoop, and they're going to go do business with you.
They're either going to be so excited to work with us, or so exhausted of the process that they'll be like, I can't anymore, I'm done.
Yeah.
And just bow out.
So you have taken that whole process to the nth degree. Like you have, so that's I would call that super advanced, right? But breaking it down to the principle to make it something like, hey, if you're running out there for free to every call that you get, like you're going to run yourself ragged, and your close rate is going to be under 20%, maybe 10, maybe 5. And you're also going to feel like, dude, people won't pay my prices. Am I too expensive? All this other head trash that comes into it, because it all comes down to this principle: you're not pre-qualifying.
Yeah.
100%. And I agree with the thing that you said about make your website work for you. It's another employee. I mean, like, don't make yourself spend 20 minutes on the phone finding out what their budget range is. You can do that on your website. Yeah. And that's just one example. Yeah.
And it's the biggest thing for me. It's uncomfortable to weed people out over the phone.
Yeah, it is.
It's
awkward.
To somebody, you're like, yeah, hi, Nancy. How do you say? You don't have enough money for what we do. Like it's just uncomfortable.
What we did at Tussey, which is a very similar thing to what you're doing, is we built a project planner where at Tussey what the process looks like, just to kind of give some perspective. Okay, that's the Premier Outdoor. Yeah, you've seen. Okay, so basically, clients call. We're like, sure, we can book you Tuesdays and Thursdays only. $95 consultation fee. And it's not about the money. I don't care if it's $20 or $500 or
commitment.
It's about the commitment. It's about there's a transaction happening. You're serious. Okay. And then once they do that, we say, okay, you're going to get a link to the project planner. We need you to fill that out before we come out. If they don't fill it out, it's like, Mrs. Jones, like, we didn't get it yet. We can't. We're going to have to reschedule, or you're going to have to fill that out. And so basically what that does is Sometimes people call in, pay the consultation fee, get the link, and 15 minutes later call back and cancel the consultation. We're like, good. We just saved all our time, you know? And so that's just another example or another rendition of another business doing the same thing. The principle of making your website work for you and avoiding the whole standing in the driveway, shuffling your feet, having the budgeting conversation.
Yeah.
Like, let them think about it for 3 hours, have a conversation over dinner, and decide what they want to tell you they want to do.
Exactly.
You know?
Because a lot of times you go to a site, when I used to meet everybody, just say, oh, you're looking for a backyard? Okay, sounds great. When can you meet? I'll come meet you. You get there, within 2 minutes, you realize it's definitely not going to be a project for me. But you're there in front of them. You can't just say, okay, hold on, stop. This isn't right for us, bye.
Yeah.
You have to kind of stand there and just be like, oh, okay, yeah. And the whole time you're just turning your wheels. How do I get out of this? How do I leave right now and not be rude?
Yeah.
And not be like, because then those are the type of people. A lot of times if you read bad reviews about people, it'll be this person came out, they were rude, they said they're too dang expensive, all that kind of stuff. So it's like you have to be really conscious of how you deal with not only your clients, but the people that don't end up hiring you. You don't want to come off as
there's people that leave bad reviews for someone that they just called for an estimate.
Yeah.
So you got to be. This is important.
We got a bad review about somebody, they don't call back, and it's like my voicemail says, if you're inquiring about a project, fill out the form. You have to fill out the form. You didn't follow the instructions. I said that in a nice way. Like, it says very clearly, we are not taking any consultations right now. So it's like, hey, we're a very small company, and to provide the utmost service to our clients that we are servicing, we cannot do our business this way.
It's genius. So, Catherine, what is something that you can look back to in your time with Premier Outdoor as to something that this is a place where we grew, we leveled up, we changed a process and it got better? Like, what's something that you would point at?
I think that what I did was instill, and I'm trying to do better still.
We all are human.
I got
right?
out of the way, it'd be a lot easier.
Kick Sean out of the business?
So when I started, I wasn't, and this is why we got the mobile command centers. I was at home off-site, so there would be a lot of things that were just up in the air, like with scheduling things, and we only work on one project at a time, so it's not a ton of things that are being scheduled, but there are things that were just kind of up in the air, and I'd be like, okay, well, where are we at? And it would be, it always had to be a conversation, and I like to just have everything written down so I don't have to bug Sean. I don't have to be like, where are we at with that dumpster rental? Or where are we at with that permit? Or when is the helical house going to be installed? So we really worked on systems like checklists or time tracking, so then I don't have to bug anybody. I just have it all.
You've defined systems and processes, which to me is my definition of systems and processes is taking what's in your head and putting it out into a process that someone else can do for you.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of proud. We have an ego. We kind of like nobody can do it as good as me. It's kind of. But but then if you live in that area, if you live in that arena, like, you're never going to have freedom.
Yeah. Ant kind of like accuses me of purposely withholding certain information so I feel needed. So he has to come ask me a question.
That's funny.
And it is hard to. That's my biggest struggle, is getting my ideas out of my head onto paper and having a process. And we've gotten pretty good at that too. Like, doing things like having a Google Drive of each job and having the rendering on there, having all of our material lists. Like, when I order it, I'll write out the material list and be like, okay, these 2x10s are for beams. These, this is for this. So there's very minimal questions with most of the build. It's really just those little tiny details, and that's why I'm there. And same thing with Catherine, like, she can run these processes because we're in the van.
Yeah.
And she can, like, kind of see. She could just be there kind of watching us and being like, okay, there's a lot of, like, kind of running around here without getting much done on this specific process. Like, why can't we make this a lot easier?
And you're just like, I don't know, we've just always done it that way.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. And I always kind of like leaned on the fact that, this creativity that I have is a byproduct in a way of this like chaotic kind of environment. Like, that's where the magic happens. And I kind of convinced myself of that to such an extent that I was like, it has to be this way because that's where the magic happens. And I realized that's not the case.
Yeah.
I can still be super creative and plan out the project really well, sometimes a lot better, and that was like a big realization for me.
You know, I think what you just said makes me think of is like in water features, which is what I did a lot of.
Yeah.
It's like when you get the technical aspects and the steps like so processed out and so systemized that you're not even thinking about that anymore.
Yep.
That's where you can focus all of your brain bandwidth on the creative process. Like you're not distracted by like, oh, some technical thing is, oh yeah, man, we screwed that up, and like it's soaking up your energy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when that's just like humming, there's no glitches, and you're just free to focus entirely on that creative process.
Yeah.
I know for water features, that's super freeing. Like you see new guys are like, well, I want to build water features like an artist of the year. Well, like figure out the process, get that to the point where you're not even thinking about it anymore, and then the artistry will come.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I started doing a lot of the editing, we were like, okay, that'll, like, if I take this away, it'll free up a lot of his time. And then you just backfill it with other ideas, which is great. And that's like the purpose of what we're trying to do with bringing on other people. It's like, okay, I've taken this off of his plate, now he can have that freedom to go.
What was it like to give up the editing?
It's
still like, I'm like looking over her shoulder like,
I don't like that.
like, did you can move and then move that, and she's like, I know
Give me a minute.
Yeah. All right.
That's
I
funny.
just like to feel needed still.
Yeah.
And like the rare occasion where she's like, I see her doing something that there's like a shortcut for her that I've done. I'm like, you can just go to edit and then remove attributes, and it's going to clear that clip of any cropping or timing. And she's like, all right, yeah, cool. You've chimed in with 10 things and one thing that actually is a good help.
That's
hard for me to.
It is.
Develop that control.
Well, artist. I would label you as an artist, and artists especially, I think, struggle with that.
Yeah.
You know, and a guy I follow, Dan Martell, recently said on one of his Instagram things, I think, that we are the most critical of the things that we're ourselves good at, the things that we're competent at. That's what we're super critical about in other people. You know, whereas if you're like, I don't know what the website guy does, he just does it, I just pay his bill, you know, it's like you're not critical of how that person's working, you know.
Yep.
So it's funny.
I never thought about it that way, but like I'm even in myself, I'm super critical at the stuff that I'm the best at.
Yeah.
Like all these other things that I'm terrible at, like, you know, making sure that we're planning for the next job so that once we're finished this one, everything's set up to roll right into it. Like that's something I really struggle with, but I'm so focused on being critical about my designs and all this kind of stuff that I'm like, yeah, no, I think that part of the business runs pretty smooth, I'd say. And then like when you step back and look at it, you're like, that's actually like the most broken part of our business, these processes. But I never really thought about that. Like my mental energy is so focused on the creativity and the design, and I'm so critical of that stuff, even though that's my skill set, that it's easy to just like, you know, be like, oh yeah, I think our processes are pretty good for that. It's like you don't spend much time thinking about it. But bringing in somebody with a different skill set, they're really good at exposing you, which is what you need to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Growth is never comfortable.
No.
You always feel like there's a bleeding edge, and
You need people that you don't want to be them. I don't want to be the most organized person on the team. If I am, it's not going to be good.
Yes, yeah, right. Something's not right. Yeah,
it's not going to be good. So like, hiring people like Catherine is really good at putting things into action, taking that idea and putting it into action.
Yeah.
Anthony's really good at all of the carpentry knowledge, so like he comes in with much more experience, and it does free me up to just focus on the things that I'm really good at.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's always still a struggle and a balance, and it's hard for me to give up control.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It's a struggle, man.
Yeah.
Question for you. So you're obviously really successful on social media, which I would say you're a bit of an anomaly. Like the way, like it's all like some. You have to answer the question: is social media my business, or is my business, right? So I don't want to go there necessarily, but what I want to get at is, what would you say to everyone listening? This is the box that you should put social media in. This is how you should think about it.
Yeah. I think it's tough because we are in like a very unique position. It is something that we have built the business around.
Right.
So we look at what content we can create, because again, it's a thing that I enjoy. I like doing it, and I think that I saw like kind of a void in the content market. Like there wasn't a lot of people really showing everything that they're doing, going job to job and showing this is what we do on a day-to-day. This is how we do it. This is the stuff that we're trying to figure out. This is what went wrong. This is how we fixed it. All that kind of stuff. And we wanted to build the business around that. So we've been able to have some partnerships and some YouTube revenue, which has been great. And it's going to be different for every business.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You're not going to want to do what we do if your goal is just to get local leads.
Yeah.
You're better off just paying for advertising, whatever.
Yeah.
Because what we do is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. That's what people don't realize. Content is it's a full-time job.
Yeah, it's like 2 full-time jobs, basically.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a long time also to have any sort of semblance of payoff.
Yeah, it's like plant a tree and 10 years later it gives you shade.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's what I recently changed my title from owner to chief vision officer.
I saw that.
I thought it sounded really cool, and I felt like that really kind of summed up what I'm really good at. I'm good at like seeing an opportunity that's kind of off in the distance that we're really going to have to work towards and see that payoff, but we have to be willing to put in the work, put in the foundation to get there. So it took at least 2 years of doing YouTube videos and dedicating like a big chunk of our time to that content to make it pay for itself.
Yeah.
And then to make money off of it.
Yeah.
It took a long time, and you have to love doing that part of it, where you're not going to continue.
Yeah.
It's too much work.
And and the other thing that makes me, like, from being in the aquascape world, like Greg Whitstock's big in content marketing, and he's encouraging all the CACs, the certified aquascape contractors, to also create content and all of that. Yeah. But out of watching dozens of different businesses start, some stop, some get good at it and some get successful at it, like Jack Harju, close, in your area. I think it was somewhere close. He's in New Jersey, so that's your area. Jack Harju from Atlantis Water Gardens.
Oh yeah.
He's really big in water features and YouTube.
Yep.
But like, there's a guy that this is from him. So it's not original with me, but he was like, he had less than 1,000 subs on YouTube, but he was doing a weekly video, and he said, it's not about the subs that I have. It's about the fact that my clients, the work that I'm closing, already know me. Yeah. They already have that trust and credibility. They're calling me because they feel like they know me. They're not getting other jobs. So the whole point I'm making is it's not about who getting 100,000 subs or 10,000 subs or even 1,000 subs. Yeah. In my opinion, it's social is more about making it work for you. Just like we said, the website should work for you. Yeah. It's about putting yourself out there so your clients can get to know you. And when you do that, it creates this environment where the clients are calling you, no one else, because they want you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
my big thing about social media is always show your face. That's what I always tell everyone. Put your face out there so that people feel like they know you.
I know, but it's kind of ugly though. Like my face.
Yeah, I got over that pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the other point. Is like when we start, it's so awkward.
It's awkward.
And you just got to get over it.
Yeah.
Like, did you realize you sound like that all the time to everybody around you?
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing you have to think about.
I've been talking a lot for like most of my life, so
yeah.
I'm pretty used to it. But like a great example is Richard Carroll, RC Outdoor, who like when he first wanted to start doing more content, he like called me up and he's like, man, see you doing stories and everything, that's just not me, man. Like I can't even have my face out there. I was like, dude, just do it. It was weird for me at first too. You're just talking to your own face that you can see in your phone, and like literally a week later, he's like, yo, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, you could
RC Outdoor, and like he's like just totally owned it. And it's like those first like 5 stories are the hardest ones, and then you realize, I told somebody yesterday, especially if you're just getting started on social media, realize nobody's watching it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
This is where you get your practice, and like you get better at it, and then once people start watching it, it's now you've honed your skills, and that's how I looked at YouTube. Like, the videos that we started doing were terrible, but nobody was watching them, so the stakes were low.
Yeah.
So it was like we slowly built up that viewership. We did 100 videos in the first year and only got up to 3,000 subscribers. 2 years later, we're at over 250,000 subscribers. So it's like it's going to take time to get that momentum rolling.
That's insane.
And you're going to really, your content's not going to be good in the beginning.
Yeah.
You don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But you get better with each video. We've done a couple.
It's like anything else. Yeah.
It takes practice. So like, now that we have 250,000 subscribers, our content's better.
Yeah.
We've made 250
You just get good at it.
videos.
If you do something over and over and over again, you get better at it.
Yeah.
You know?
And you find your style.
You find your own kind of vibe. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's wrap it up with a question that I like to ask everybody on the podcast when I remember, because the conversations kind of go all over the place. But what is one of the best pieces of advice that you've ever been given that has been so impactful for you?
Best thing for me, like I mentioned, I think I mentioned it. It's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
And that was in a book called, do you remember what that's called? It's by Derek Sivers.
Okay.
We'll
find
Anything
it.
You Want.
Oh, okay.
Anything You Want. And it was just something that applied to so much of what I do, especially with the vision stuff. Like, is this something I really want to do? Is this going to get me to where I want to go? And if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And you have to really evaluate every opportunity that you have and make sure that this job that you're taking that might take 2 months, is it taking you 2 months closer to where you want to go, or is it veering you off that course?
Which is then also costing you opportunity cost.
Exactly.
Yes,
You know,
it's a
you're
double.
not
It's a
only-
double. It's a double
Yeah,
whammy.
you're basically stagnant on your process to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like taking all your mental resources. If you say no to that job, it puts more of a mental emphasis on you to think about, how do I get where I want to go?
No, that's great advice.
Catherine, what about you?
For having us.
Yeah, Catherine, what's your
She probably has something
best
more
piece
insight.
of advice?
I guess kind of like what we talked about earlier, when it comes to like finding people to surround yourself with. No one has a perfect skill set in anything, so it's so important to not be so proud to think that you do, and
fill in
to
the blanks.
find people who are better than you in certain areas to complement your skill set.
That's a really good
Because
point.
nobody's perfect. No one can do everything perfectly. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the thing of like, okay, I have to figure it out, I have to do it perfectly. But in order to level up, you have to surround yourself with people that can really push you forward altogether.
That's exactly what you're doing here. As an entrepreneur, that's some entrepreneurs that we get an ego.
Proud,
Exactly.
Yeah, wasn't that we talked about this before.
You don't want well-rounded
Dale-
people. You want well-rounded teams.
Mm.
Is that what you were getting at?
No, but
Okay.
yes.
We do like a lot
But,
of reading
yeah.
and books and
I think it was Dale Carnegie said something like, I'm not a good boss, I'm just good at finding people
Oh.
who are...
Andrew Carnegie,
Andrew Carnegie.
said on his gravestone, I think it says, "Here lies a man who was good at surrounding himself with people smarter than himself." And it's like, that's how you look at it. And I think one thing I'm really good at is being completely open and honest about all the things I'm terrible about. Sometimes Catherine's like, all right, people get that you're not good at that. Stop talking about it. You know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You don't need to
But,
keep talking
yeah.
about how disorganized you are. And another thing
it's
that we
important
read.
to identify your weaknesses and there's plenty of things that I'm terrible at that he's great at, or Anthony, makes it. Like it's
And the other thing that makes me think about what you're saying is this idea of healthy conflict. If you're in an echo chamber and nobody has the courage to raise like, hey, I don't know if this was a good idea, like healthy conflict where you can debate things out and be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. We didn't consider that. And maybe you don't. Maybe you still go forward with the idea, but you respond and react to that potential weakness or that potential. I think that's so important in team is to be able to have a culture where conflict or invitation of engagement and opposing ideas or other ideas is encouraged and welcome.
Yeah.
When it's like a one-way channel of communication,
Yeah.
I mean that's not good.
No.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of that now that you mention it, and ultimately, sometimes somebody will disagree with something, a creative element that I really like or something, like, why don't we do it like this? I think this will be better. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, you're definitely right. Other times, even when I'm like, no, I still think my way is going to look cool. Like, I think that's the way to do it. But I always make sure to say, but I like where your head's at. I like that you're thinking about it. Because although this time I don't agree with you, and I want to do it this way, I love where your head's at. And a lot of times...
And just encouraging the fact that they actually spoke up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I'd say more times than not, their idea is something that we'll end up going with.
Right.
But occasionally I still will say, no, we're going to still do it my way, but I appreciate where your head's at.
And you explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if it sucks, you can be like, Sean, that was a terrible idea, see? And I'll be like, you're right, I'm going to listen to you.
And you can say, here's why. You can explain your rationale. Yeah.
Exactly. And another thing that I read recently was you don't want well-rounded people. You want well-rounded teams.
Yep.
So a well-rounded person, I don't think I'm well-rounded at all. I'm really good at the things I'm good at, and I'm really bad at the things I'm bad at. And that's what you want. You want a team, each person has a very specific skill set that they're good at. So now you don't just have a bunch of people that are mediocre at everything. You have Catherine who's really good at implementing systems and putting, where rubber meets the road, she can get stuff into action. Me, I'm really good at thinking those big ideas and vision. Anthony's really good at all the technical building stuff. That's like what fuels the growth. We just have a bunch of well-rounded people.
You're kind of mediocre, or like, you're not excelling at any one thing, which means you're kind of just, I don't know. Yeah, I feel what you're saying. It makes sense.
But if you're not well-rounded like me, you have to make sure that you're honest with yourself and you say, this is my weakness.
Fill in that blank.
This is what I need to get somebody on our team that is good at this to complement.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we look at it, and still have a lot to figure out.
Yeah, we all do. We are all human at the end of the day. I think that's what's so cool about coming to these shows and getting, meeting people you see on social media or know from social media. It's like, they're a human just like, we all have our struggles. We all have the thing that we're currently facing and currently trying to overcome. And it's life. But then it's the networking aspect where you realize that and can support and encourage each other. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, love that about these shows, and we always leave these feeling so inspired and developing a deeper connection with somebody else in the industry that you just really vibe with, and it's just cool to leave from here and feel inspired and motivated to take your business to the next level, to improve yourself, and it's the best thing about these shows.
Absolutely. Well, everybody already knows where you are, but for the sake of formality, just tell us where to find you.
Premier Outdoor on all channels, and if you like this kind of conversation, we also do our own podcast, The Hardworking Happy Hour, where we kind of just talk about open, honest conversation about the things that we're trying to implement in our business, the things that go wrong that we need to fix, the things that we learn from reading books, or things that we're trying to implement. So it's pretty light and fun, and not super serious. We do it over a couple drinks, and you can find that at Hardworking Happy Hour. So.
Okay, we'll link that up in the show notes below for sure.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks for taking the time, sitting down with us. Yeah, you bet. This was fun.